Hello again, I'm Mike Frescona. I hope that thus far you found the Turbo Athletes video series both helpful and entertaining. Remember, the idea behind these videos is to arm you, the parent, with the information that will help maximize your son or daughter's athletic ability. You're going to accomplish this by simply playing some games with them. You're not training them, you're playing with them, but you're playing with a focus. Each day across the United States, you can find scenes just like what you see here. Dozens of young athletes and their parents gathered in a gym to play and watch a game. And while the politically correct thing to say is that we go to the gym to enjoy the company of friends and the entertainment of the game, the truth is that you go to the gym to win. And when your team does win, and when your child does turn in one of those standout performances, the whole day just seems a little bit more satisfying. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So on this tape, we will continue to show you many of the great games, drills, and techniques that will help your son or daughter turn in more of those feel-good performances. The next time you go watch your son or daughter compete in a soccer, football, or basketball game, try to focus in only on the feet of all the athletes. Try to pick out the one or two pairs of feet that always seem to be moving no matter what is going on in the game. Keep an eye on those feet. Watch how that athlete speeds them up and generates more foot contacts as the ball moves in his or her direction. Chances are the owner of those feet is one of the better athletes on the field. Because foot quickness has a significant effect on an athlete's ability to accelerate and change direction, an athlete that has the skills to produce a rapid succession of foot contacts will always have a major advantage over opponents whose feet are stuck in mud. The most basic of all the foot quickness exercises are called line drills. These can be performed absolutely anywhere because all you need is a line on the ground. This can be a stripe on a field, a piece of tape on the court, or even a seam in your carpet in the house. Line drills simply involve having the athlete perform a specific movement for a maximum number of repetitions in a given period of time. Here Sean is performing front hops. He is keeping his feet close together, keeping his weight on the front of his feet, and hopping in front and behind the line as quickly as possible. We have given Sean 10 seconds to perform as many hops as possible, and our instructor Rusty is counting each hop out loud to give Sean instant feedback on how he is doing. As Sean gets more comfortable with the motion, he will increase the number of hops he performs in 10 seconds. Side hops are performed the same basic way as front hops, except that the athlete moves laterally across the line. Notice that the feet are kept under control and together during the entire duration of the drill, and that Sean's heels never touch the ground. By keeping his weight on the front of his foot and off his heels, Sean is able to produce the quickest possible rebound off the ground. Until it becomes second nature to them, always remind yourself and your athlete that speed is located in the front of the foot and not the heel. A third line drill is split hops. Here Mallory begins with one foot in front of the line and the other foot behind the line. From this position, she takes a quick hop into the air and switches the position of her feet. She should concentrate on only allowing the balls of the feet to touch the ground. Remember, you're not able to explode and bounce off the heel, so the heel's contact with the ground should be eliminated. Also important in this exercise is the coordination between the upper and lower body. You will notice that Adam's arms are moving in sync with his legs. When the right leg moves forward, the left arm moves forward, and vice versa. The ability to smoothly fall into this rhythm will greatly affect a young athlete's chances of being a fast, efficient sprinter. This is an excellent base level drill for foot quickness and should be mastered by all athletes. Our fourth and final line drill is the Ali Shuffle. The foot pattern used here is a little more complicated than that employed by the other line drills and may take athletes a few tries to master. Mallory begins by straddling the line. Her first motion is to hop into the air and cross her legs so that one foot lands on either side of the line, here with the right foot in front of the left. Mallory then immediately hops back into the starting position with feet straddling the line. Finally, she hops again and crosses her legs so that the feet land on either side of the line, but this time the left foot is in front of the right. This pattern is then repeated continuously for the allotted time period. The next 9 exercises we will show you involve what is known as a quick foot ladder. This is our absolute favorite piece of training equipment because it is inexpensive and incredibly versatile. The Quickfoot ladder is made up of 20 squares that are 18 inches long and 16 inches wide. The advantage of owning a Quickfoot ladder like we have is that it can be easily picked up and transported. Also, these ladders have rungs that are made out of brightly colored, round, hard plastic dowels. The shape of these rungs gives instant feedback to athletes that place their foot in the wrong spot or when they begin to contact the ground with their heels. The most basic exercise on the Quickfoot ladder is called one-foot runs. Here, Cody simply runs through the ladder, placing 1 foot in each square. As you watch this, you must be conscious of all the other tips you've learned up to this point. The athlete must not let their heels touch the ground, and they must allow their arms to move in sync with their legs. You must also learn the one all-important rule when using a Quickfoot ladder. Do the drill correct, even if that means walking through it. Nothing will be accomplished if the athlete runs through the ladder and misses half the holes in an attempt to go fast. Going fast is easy. The hard part is learning the foot patterns and doing them right. So when you have your athlete go through the exercises on the Quickfoot ladder, stress the importance of not touching the ladder. The goal should be to move through the full length of the ladder and to not disrupt its positioning on the ground. Once an athlete has mastered 1-foot runs, they are ready to move on to 2-foot runs. 2-foot runs are just like the last drill, except that both feet step into every hole. Notice that the same foot is leading into each hole and that the same foot is trailing into each hole. This pattern is more difficult than the last because it requires that more steps be taken and that more body control be used. Also, the relatively quicker steps that are being taken requires that the arms move faster to keep up with the feet. Maintaining this rhythm between the upper and lower body is crucial. Why this is so will be explained later in the section on acceleration. Break runs combine the motions of 1- and 2-foot runs. Here, Cody performs 1-foot runs for the first half of the ladder and then quickly switches to the motion of 2-foot runs for the second half. Placing a cone at the halfway mark, as we have done here, will be helpful to the athlete. This drill again targets that important relationship between upper and lower body rhythm. When the athlete switches from the motions of 1-foot runs to that of 2-foot runs, several things happen. First, because 2-foot runs do not involve as much forward momentum as 1-foot runs, the athlete must possess enough body control to slam on the brakes and to keep hitting each hole. Second, because 1-foot runs do not require the feet and arms to turn over as quick as 2-foot runs, the athlete must be able to quickly and smoothly adjust his total body rhythm in order to successfully complete the exercise. When you're watching your child go through this drill, keep an eye on their arms. It is quite common for athletes to use the proper foot patterns in this drill, but at the same time they have stopped moving their arms. The goal is to get them to do both at the same time. Another simple but highly effective drill that can be performed on the ladder is hopscotch. This is a great example of one of those basic skill-developing games that has been lost amidst the whirlwind of new video entertainment and high-speed internet access that is available to young athletes. This exercise teaches correct athletic body positioning and weight distribution. A hop is made with both feet into the first hole and is followed by a hop that places the feet in a straddle position on the second hole. This pattern is then repeated for the full length of the ladder. As the athlete moves through the ladder, they should be in a position where their knees are bent, their back is flat, and their shoulders are over their knees. This is what we refer to as an athletic position. They will find it much easier to hop quickly through the ladder from this position than if they were to maintain an upright posture. Straddle hops are excellent at teaching athletes how to position themselves for defensive play. For this drill, Andre begins in an athletic position with 1 foot in the ladder and 1 foot outside the ladder. The separation of his feet should be slightly wider than shoulder width. From here, Andre hops forward to the next hole and reverses the position of his feet. The goal is to quickly hop through all the holes while maintaining the original starting position of the body. In other words, stay in an athletic position and keep the feet separated at slightly wider than shoulder width. The positioning used in this drill is the exact same as that used by defensive players in most every sport. Defensive players, whether they are shortstops, point guards, or defensive backs, must be able to maintain this position in order to react to the offensive player they are guarding. Straddle hops teaches athletes to hold and control this position. The one thing that can make this exercise even more beneficial to defensive players is performing it backwards. Since defensive play typically involves slowly retreating and giving ground to advancing offensive players, a good defensive player must be able to perform most everything in reverse just as well as they do forwards. Once an athlete has become comfortable with the forward motions of straddle hops, they may turn their back on the ladder and give it a shot in reverse. The lateral run is much like the first drill in this section, except that the athlete is moving sideways. Here Sean is demonstrating a basic lateral run where each foot steps into each hole. The front foot always steps in first and the back foot always trails. Since this drill involves a lateral motion, athletes must be sure to perform equal repetitions to both the right and the left. Like with other ladder drills, it is important to start the foot pattern slow and then gradually increase the speed. Even when an athlete has mastered a pattern, it is helpful for them to use the first few squares to slowly find a rhythm before they step on the gas. The buzzsaw is a great exercise for foot quickness. The pattern of this drill has the athlete step into the first hole of the ladder with his lead foot and then step into the same square with his trail foot. The athlete then quickly steps back out with his lead foot and then with the trail foot. The athlete moves laterally and repeats the pattern on the next hole. As the athlete moves down the ladder, you must make sure that each step has the foot landing either completely in or completely out of the ladder squares. The arms must again fall into rhythm with the lower body. And, as always, the athlete should strive to be so precise with his steps that the ladder does not move a single inch from its original position. Perfection first, speed second. Our absolute favorite drill on the Quickfoot ladder is the Icky Shuffle. This drill closely mimics many of the foot patterns used during competition. It is excellent for rhythm, and after it is learned correctly, it can be done extremely fast. When performing the Icky Shuffle on the Quickfoot ladder, the athlete will begin to the left of the first hole in the ladder. The right foot steps laterally into the first hole and is then followed by the left. The right foot then steps out to the right of the first hole. The left foot is quickly lifted off the ground and steps to the second hole of the ladder. The right foot quickly follows and the process is repeated. This is definitely a drill that should be learned by walking through the ladder first. As the athlete learns the drill by walking, they will begin to hear that their feet make a nice rhythmic cadence as they hit the ground. Once the athlete understands what the drill sounds like when it is being performed correctly, they simply need to concentrate on speeding up the sound of their feet. The main mistake you can help keep your child aware of is that their feet never cross when performing this drill. It's actually very simple. Both feet pass through the squares, but only one foot is allowed to contact outside the ladder on either side. Once your child learns this pattern, they will find that blazing speed can be easily achieved with just a little bit of practice. Okay, once your athlete masters the Icky Shuffle and is confident that they have conquered the Quickfoot ladder, that's when we knock them back down to earth and start showing them the harder patterns. The one Sean is demonstrating here is again the Icky Shuffle, except that it is being done laterally. The lateral Icky Shuffle is one of the harder Quickfoot ladder drills to master. In fact, we have some college and pro athletes that still can't do it yet. But we also have several young athletes that started learning how to do it when they were only 8 or 9 years old. Now as junior high athletes, these kids are blazing through all kinds of drills on the ladder, and they're also blazing through their competition on the field. The next family of foot quickness drills are those performed with a low obstacle. The obstacle can be like the sturdy 10-inch box Cody is using here, the aerobics bench Jake is using in this demonstration, or any similar object you may be able to find. While many of these patterns are like the ones already demonstrated, the added difficulty is that the athlete is performing on multiple levels rather than just on the ground. This first exercise is very similar to the line drill split hops that we demonstrated just a minute ago. The athlete starts with one foot on the box, one foot on the ground, and the arms appropriately staggered with the legs. Next, the athlete quickly reverses the position of both the feet and the arms and then quickly repeats. When performing this and all other low obstacle exercises, the athlete should focus on taking quick, soft, quiet steps. In other words, don't pound down on the ground and box. If the athlete can keep their foot contact quiet, then it means they are likely keeping their body weight on the front of their foot where it belongs. Hitting on the front of the foot will cushion each landing, while contacting with the whole foot or the heel will create a pounding noise. As mentioned, virtually all athletic movements will be quicker when the athlete is performing them on the balls of their feet. Lateral split hops are performed much the same way as the last exercise, except that the athlete moves laterally. In the starting position, the athlete begins with the obstacle located to his right and his right foot on top of the obstacle. The athlete then hops laterally over the obstacle and lands with his right foot on the ground and the left foot on top of the obstacle. The goal is for the athlete to immediately get back into the air after each landing and to produce as many foot contacts as possible. The lateral motion of this drill is similar to the motion the athlete uses to stop and change direction when performing the eye test shown in video 1. By isolating this specific motion, you are able to positively affect such things as your child's ability to move laterally, their ability to change direction, and their time in the eye test. The final low obstacle drill we will demonstrate is the Icky Shuffle. While most of the low obstacle drills up to this point have involved quick hopping motions, this drill requires the athlete to take short, rapid steps and focuses on making the foot pop off the ground upon contact. The athlete again starts with the obstacle located to his right. The exercise begins by stepping up with the right foot and then following with the left foot. This places the athlete standing on top of the obstacle. The athlete now steps down with the right foot on the right side of the obstacle, lifts the left foot off the obstacle, and then puts the left foot right back down. The right foot then steps back next to the left, which again places the athlete in a position on top of the obstacle. This pattern of steps is then repeated to the left side. The quick pop of the foot off the ground and the obstacle, which can be seen when an athlete performs the drill correctly, is an important skill leading to the development of cat-like quickness. For an athlete to move fast in any situation, they must be able to minimize the amount of time their feet stay on the ground. In watching Cody demonstrate this drill, it is clear that he possesses some very quick feet. And if you could watch him play in one of his football games, it would also be clear that he is a very good athlete.